Good morning. Open in your Bibles to the book of Job, our favorite book. Book of Job. We start a new study this morning. It's a new year. It's a new book of the Bible. It's going to be fun. And there's some food here. There's going to be more food here in a few minutes. So if you can stay after service for what we call our family reunion, please do. Food and fellowship afterwards. There's always enough for everybody, so don't feel bad if you didn't bring something. Just bring something next time. The book of Job. If you need a Bible, you can slip up your hand and Pastor Dave will get one into that hand because we want you to be able to follow along. And, you know, this year, during the summer, last year actually, it's not this year yet. This year is only, 4 days, 3.5 days old, right? So it was last year already that I planted a garden in my backyard. It's the first time I've done that for probably about 23 years. And I planted a fairly ambitious garden. It's fairly big. And I had a lot of different stuff in it. And it was somewhat successful. All the plants grew. Not all of them gave good vegetables and fruits. My ears of corn were only that long. And found that the soil, it's really important that you have really good soil. And I didn't. So hopefully this year will be different. But the scriptures can be likened to a garden in that there's a variety of authors. There are a variety of styles. There's a variety of time periods. There's actually several different languages that are found in the original manuscripts of the Bible. But each one is a spiritual nourishment for us. Each one. Now, those of you who were here last year when we went through the book of Leviticus, at the beginning of the book probably didn't believe me when I said, even the book of Leviticus has something to say to us and to nourish us. And yet as we went through it, more and more people, praise be to God, and by His Spirit, the power of His Word follows through, and we find that Jesus is revealed in the book of Leviticus, and we can be blessed even through that. Now, in the Old Testament, we have several different styles of writing, several different sections, if you will. There's the law, the first 5 books of the Bible, the Pentateuch, 5 books, the Torah, as it's referred to by our Jewish friends, the law. There's the history, and that's the section that we just finished. We went right from Joshua all the way up through Esther, and that was history. Sometimes it was kind of like reading a history book. Well, this king did that, and there was this war, and there was that war, and these guys. It was recounting the history of Israel from the time of the deliverance from Egypt and getting into the land, the promised land, to the time when they were taken out of the land into Babylon and then repopulated it just a few hundred years before Jesus Christ. There's prophecy, and we'll be coming to that in a couple of months. The major prophets, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, and all the minor prophets. But there's also this other style of writing that we begin to look at this morning, and we'll be looking at over the next several months. And it's referred to sometimes as the wisdom literature, or sometimes it's referred to as the writings. And that's the book of Job, the book of Psalms, the book of Proverbs, the book of Ecclesiastes, and the book of Song of Solomon. Very different books than the rest of the Bible. The book of Psalms, basically the hymn book of the Jews and the hymn book for us today as well. And incredible writings. They're not just good songs that we've kind of lost the music for and are rewriting the music for them, but incredible words and ministries unto the Lord and teachings to us. Proverbs, of course, the wisdom of Solomon and others compiled into one book. Ecclesiastes, a very interesting and different kind of book. If you read it outside of its context, you can get pretty depressed. Vanity, vanity, all is vanity. What good is anything? Boy, if you don't understand the context of it, you can think, man, how did this book get in here? The Song of Solomon. At least PG-13. And yet there it is, right in the Bible. Wow. Very different. But we come to the book of Job. And even just saying the book of Job kind of makes people think, oh, man, maybe for the next couple of months I can find another church where they're doing something fun like Ephesians, Revelation. Well, we're doing Ephesians on Friday nights, and we're doing Revelation on Wednesday nights. But come Sunday mornings for the book of Job. Because, let me ask you this. Have you ever thought, why do people avoid the book of Job? I mean, when was the last time you sat down with the Bible and you were kind of, not on a scheduled reading plan and going from book to book, and you go, oh, man, I just finished a book. What book do I want to read? Oh, man, I know. Job. I think I'll read Job. Why do people avoid it? Well, some people think it's depressing. It's depressing. Come on, think about it. Think about what happened to Job. It's depressing to think about what happened to Job. Well, if you think about it, Job's tragedy is described in 2 out of 42 chapters. It only shows up in 2 chapters what actually happened to Job. So, a lot of the book has other stuff in it. It's too flowery. Have you read some of that stuff? Man, it's hard to grasp hold of. Well, it's because it's a different style of writing. It is poetry. It is Hebrew poetry, which is different than American poetry. American poetry, we think of rhyming. We think of the meter, iambic pentameter. You know what iambic pentameter is? Yeah. So, we think of meter and we think of rhyming, and that's what makes a poem a poem. To the Jews, to Hebrew poetry, it's parallelism, and we're going to find that again and again throughout the wisdom literature. This idea of 2 phrases next to each other, and they say the same thing in different words, or they say the opposite thing, or they say that it kind of grows from one thing to the other. And this was the idea of Hebrew poetry. Now, if you want to get really into it, it's amazing how complex the book of Job and other books are in the Hebrew poetry and the way they crafted it. It's beautiful. And the guys who study this in the original language and chart it out as far as they would actually, in these phrases that we're looking at, in the Hebrew, they would balance between the 2 sides of it the exact number of syllables in the Hebrew for it to work out in a sense of balance. It's amazing. And sometimes parallelism within parallelism within. I mean, it's beautiful stuff. But it makes it a different kind of style of writing. And in some places in the English version, we miss the beauty of that aspect of it because it's translated into English and we kind of want to understand what it says as well as appreciate the meter of it and the beauty of the language. So it's different. There are also some images and references in here that are not common in the rest of the Bible. There are some references in here from paganism, from the pagan religions of the day, some imagery and some references to other gods and so forth. It's not because Job or the writer of Job was not a monotheist, but a polytheist, believing in a lot of different gods. No, it's because he was using the imagery of the day to make a point. Here's the excuse that I don't know that anybody would really verbalize this, but I think people think this on why they avoid Job. If I read Job and I study Job, then God is going to make me suffer just like Job. God's going to require me to be as patient as Job was, because now I've read it and understand it. But if I avoid it, I'll just, pretend like it's not there, then I won't have to deal with that. It's a very American thing. It's a very American thing to want to live in luxury. And, it's not too cold, it's not too hot. We've got an air conditioner. We've got a furnace. We've always got food in the fridge. We're always, everything's okay. Things are unbalanced a little bit. Whoa, what's going on? Pray for me, please. We're wimps. Americans are wimps. And our Christianity is wimpy. Many, many times. Man, the slightest little thing comes along and we're like, Lord, where are you? Have you forgotten me?